the business half hour here on Classic FM 97.3 station. Please, every song you know. Business half hour is brought to you by Unity Bank. I am Ifai Ataba.
My name is Bukola, and as always, you know what we do. We always have interesting guests here on the show with us. And this morning, our guest is Babajide. Yes, Durosimi.
No, Duroshola.
Duroshola. Duroshola. Good morning, Babajide. Good to have you.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for moderating my name.
Apologize, 1,000 apologies.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Well, Babajide is an experienced professional whose mission is to help founders build long-lasting technology-enabled companies in Africa. And his experience spans across tech, banking, and consulting, skilled in management strategy, business operations, expansion, and marketing, strong understanding of startup ecosystem and technology ecosystems across West and East Africa. Once again, good morning and welcome to Business Half Hour, Babajide.
Thank you for having me.
All right, Babajide, tell us from the very beginning, how did you start? What was your major course of study? Who did you work with? Or did you just decide to start this on your own? You know, let's just have a background of what it is you were doing before this started.
Yes. So interestingly, when I tell people that I'm an engineer by like training, they find it hard to believe because like all my experience has never really pointed to that engineer. So I studied computer engineering, and then you know, typically like when you're like in your final year or your fourth year, you're already like, this is not what I want to do. And so I quickly like found that realization too as well. And I, at that point in time, I think it was during the internship I did with a bank, and I was just like, this life is not for me. And so when I was done with school, I went into consulting. At that point in time, when I started to work with Philips Consulting, where I worked for 4 years, doing mostly human capital consulting, things around like human capital transformation, recruitment, employee engagement, a little bit of learning and development. And then I left consulting, went into the industry to like get like industry experience and knowledge. And so I worked with Access Bank for 3 years, where I held like a couple of roles from like talent acquisition to human resource business partnering and projects. So like HR projects that needed like some type of like organizational transformation too as well. And then I think that was right off when Andela just announced their Series B, and the time Mark Zuckerberg came to Nigeria. And so they were like this exciting company too as well. And so they were initially looking for a recruitment manager. Some way I found myself in Andela, and I became like the first ever community manager for like Andela. And so we helped Andela in like growing its presence in like Kenya, Uganda, and Rwanda too as well. And I did that for like about like 2 years plus, 2 years, 6 months. And then I left to like build businesses, which was like really where my passion actually lies, in like helping African businesses scale. And so I went to lead SafeBoda's expansion from East Africa to West Africa too as well. So moving that entity from an East African entity to a West African entity. And so now I would say SafeBoda is now a Pan-African company because like we successfully operate in like East and West Africa too as well. And each country like has its own like culture in relation to the local environment. And so, yeah, been running SafeBoda for like 2 years now. And yeah, it's been interesting.
Okay, what does SafeBoda actually do? It does sound like you have connections with immigration or something. When you hear SafeBoda, you're thinking, okay, are we talking to the customs today? What exactly is SafeBoda?
So SafeBoda is an on-demand services platform. So think about anything that could be done on a two-wheel motorcycle. That is what SafeBoda does. So moving us from like moving people from place to place, moving goods from one place to the other, doing food delivery too as well, and a bit of like payments too as well. So like airtime, bill payments, and P2P transfers. And so that's what SafeBoda typically like does as a whole. Most people think of us as like a super app too as well. In Nigeria, we're not there yet, but we're working towards our way to like getting to that point where we're a super app.
So why did you decide to come up with this? I know you talked about your passion being about building businesses. So why did you choose SafeBoda? Why did you decide to actually have this app, and how does it impact on building businesses?
So SafeBoda initially existed in East Africa, and they were really like solving a need. Think about every day when you think about the motorcycle experience every one of us have had. Like as I've talked about motorcycle experience, I'm sure that's sparked everybody. Whether you are a commuter on the motorcycle, you're a passenger, or you're a driver, you've had a terrible motorcycle experience. And so what SafeBoda was doing was SafeBoda was solving for that terrible motorcycle experience by having like equipped and trained drivers who are on the road, whose safety is the watchword, who knows the rules of engagement on like the road. And so that was pretty much interesting, because like if you take that and you transpose that from like East Africa to like West Africa too as well, it's still the same issue. Like Okada men are always like a problem, a menace too as well. And so how do you professionalize a sector that is largely informal and very unprofessional? And so that was really the mission too as well. And for me, the joy was working with like the informal sector and professionalizing them and making them to be people who like are respected. And so imagine you going out on a Monday morning and you see like a bright sea of orange helmets and orange reflector jackets too as well. Guys stopping at the traffic light, which is the amazing part that like many people don't really understand. Like a SafeBoda rider actually stopping at a traffic light and waiting for like traffic to actually pass them. Yes. And that is what you really wanted to do. And so that was the passion around it. I didn't found the company. The company was founded by a Scottish guy, a Belgian, and a Ugandan in 2014. And so like we're 6 years now, but like we're officially 1 year in operations in Nigeria. That was like in March.
All right, Uwade has joined us. Good morning, Uwa.
Morning, Ifai. Morning, Bukola. Sorry, I'm having some technical issues, but I will be with you in the next 1 minute.
All right. We're talking to Babajide here this morning. Babajide, how has the ban on regular Okada riders here in Lagos State affected your business?
So interestingly, we're able to like, should I say, escape that ban? I remember at that point in time, so SafeBoda expanded to Nigeria in 2019. And so we did have like a whole bunch of conversations with like the Lagos State government, just figuring out, okay, how can we plug in? How can we've successfully done this in like Uganda? We've done it in Kenya. How could we like come into like Nigeria to do it in that light? But interestingly, they didn't seem like they were really interested in like having conversations or partnerships. So what we did was, as a business, we took a decision to go to Ibadan, which was very insane at the point in time. I remember like people telling me, what are you thinking? Would you be successful? Like, how do you like skip Lagos and things like that? And so we went to Ibadan. It was very difficult because like going to convince the board that you are like leaving the commercial city of Nigeria and you're heading to like Ibadan, which is like a city that is 100 kilometers north of like, so it's not a situation whereby you can enter Okada from like Ibadan to Lagos as well. And so we spent all of 5 months convincing the board that this was the right decision. And so we just got like some type of like go and test the market to see type situation. And so we did go in to test the market and things really looked like very, very good. And so that was how we were able to like escape the ban as well. Like Oyo State has like been very welcoming. There's been no regulation. The governor keeps like assuring that like motorcycles are not going to be banned as well. And they are actively working to like professionalize that sector. So like our visions kind of like aligned compared to like Lagos that the only thing they really wanted was to get motorcycles off the Lagos roads. So yeah, that was how we got saved.
So you had to take SafeBoda from Lagos to Ibadan to make it work. So if it's working in Ibadan, what do you think can be adapted here in Lagos to actually let it work? Because you see, we talked about the safety. You see a lot of reckless Okada riders. Now the Okadas are back on the road, but it's so sad that is those that are reckless, that majority of those that are reckless that want to climb the roads now. So if you were to, would you want to do a pitch? Can I use the word pitch to the Lagos State government?
No, I wouldn't want to do that. Reason being in that like they're not interested. They have this mindset and this idea of like what they want Lagos to look like, and motorcycles do not feature into that idea of what they want Lagos to look like. So basically, it's almost like you hitting your head against the brick wall. We've like had this engagement over and over again, and every time we talked to them, it was very clear that motorcycles did not feature in their plan at all. We had situations where they were asking us, why didn't we think of buses? Why are we doing motorcycles too as well? And so there is a dream for like Lagos to be like Canada. Fingers crossed on that too as well. But like it's very obvious when we look at the infrastructure deficit that Lagos typically has. And it's a place where motorcycles should be in. Is it ideal? No. But is that what the infrastructure really like plays like? Yes. So you look at cities like Jakarta in Indonesia too as well. They've ingrained this into their culture too as well, up to the extent like you look at companies like Grab and Gojek. They are part of the consumer pricing index too as well to see if inflation is like a thing. So the Okada price is part of it too as well. Okay. And these guys understand that like there's an infrastructure deficit. They understand that like they can't get light speed trains, they can't get all the nice fancy stuff that you see in much more developed countries, but people need to move around, and they need to move around in ease and convenience. Whether we look at it or not, I knew that Okadas were going to come back on the road, because you just look at the entire city and there is a necessity for Okadas to be on the road. You look at how do people do the last mile movement. It has to be Okadas. There are no routes, there are no buses, there are no kekes. Even the kekes too as well, they were banned too as well. And so like, it's just sad every day going out and looking outside. I live in Yaba, and looking outside and seeing motorcycles there. Meanwhile, the guys who were professional, who had trained riders, who had experienced riders too as well, and who were technology inclined, were already like what, tripping off the street.
Okay, but you do have a presence in Lagos in the form of your delivery services, right?
No, we don't. We don't. Our model is typically like the Uber model, which is platform play. So we don't own any assets. What we look for is people who already have their existing assets. We train them, we onboard them, we give them the rules of engagement too as well. And then what we do is we control everything on the platform experience. So from like pricing to customer acquisition, to dispatch, to all the engine that ensures that like a customer and a rider is being matched together. So like we don't have any operations here in Lagos, but like I'm very impressed by like what the other guys who got caught up in the Lagos ban were able to do by pivoting their operations into like delivery services.
So good morning, everyone. Good morning, Lagos. Good morning, Bukola.
Oh, good morning, Wojai. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Sorry, I have a bit of technical challenges this morning, but I'm here. Okay. Morning, Babajide. Great to be here. My name is Wade. You mentioned something about infrastructure deficit in terms of Lagos State, and I do believe that Okadas could be very necessary to solve that transportation challenge. However, how do you see your business integrating into Lagos and being able to put together the same things you've done in other states and in countries outside Lagos towards ensuring that that transportation deficit is clearly addressed from the perspective of having specific points of movement for Okada riders?
So interestingly, from like my take and the conversation that we had with Lagos, their interest is to put more buses on the road. So like you already have like a city that is plagued with traffic and too many cars on the road, and your only solution is to put more buses on the road. So the idea or the bigger question is there a willingness for Lagos to actually have like Okadas on the road? Like we had all the likes of like Ope, Max, and Gokada, who were actually like changing the narrative around motorcycles, changing the narrative around like motorcycle transportation. You had all these guys who, not only the driver having a helmet, but they had helmets for the passengers too as well. So you had passengers who were wearing helmets too. They gave the passengers like hairnets, and they gave them helmets, which safety was like their watchword. They had like constant training, all those things like that. The right thing to do was to like figure out ways to partner these guys. Even if you wanted to move Okada out of the city or things like that, they should have been the phase one of like moving Okada out. So they should have been the ones to either come in to replace the existing infrastructure that was there, rather than like an outright everybody go off the road type situation. And we can see what really happened with that. Like if you go outside your street now, I'm sure before you've done 5 minutes, you've seen like 7 to 8 Okadas who have like already zoomed past to as well. And so for them to really like embrace this, they need to first of all understand that there is an infrastructure deficit, and putting more buses on the road is not what is going to like solve it. Yes, we can talk about light rail, all those things, but those things take years to build, and people still need to commute from one place to the other. Like the idea is not to put, regardless of the size of bus, whether it's the mini buses that they call the Koropes, or is the downfall buses, or is the mega BRT type buses. The idea is not to put buses on the road, because like the roads are already too small and too narrow for the number of cars and buses that already exist. So you need alternative means of transportation that people would actually like use too as well. And I do understand that there's a menace around many of these business transportation mediums. There's a menace around, like I said, before you came in onto the show, I was talking about like, everyone should think about the bad experience they've had with like a motorcycle, whether they are like a rider, a passenger on the motorcycle, or a passersby, even the people that are actually walking on their own too as well, or you own a car. Like we all have this motorcycle experience that are very like terrible. But once you start to see businesses that are coming to professionalize this sector, it is something for like government to actually like embrace. So that's the only advice that I would give them. But like, I don't think we're interested in like coming to Lagos anytime soon.
All right, looks like your mind is made up though, but we're still having Business Hour here on Classic FM 97.3. We have with us Babajide Duroshola. We'll be right back to this. Stay with us. Babajide, you have fashion
and my yori. Wait, you never hear of unified mobile app?
Yes, so you flash it Lagos totally. You're not even interested at all.
If I tell you what they told me in a meeting, they told me to shut up once. So like, please, I'm sorry. Like I don't.
Are you serious?
Yeah, they told me shut up. What do you know? Go on.
Okay, can I ask a question, Babajide, while we're still up there? How? Yeah. I think one of these things that one major challenge that I think
we're back on.
Okay. Okay, Babajide, I was just about to ask you something off the air. If I am
Still Business Hour here on Classic FM 97.3. We're talking with Babajide Duroshola, who are there in the studio with us, and it's Bukola Ifeanyi as well. All right, Wadie, back to you.
Okay, Babajide, quick one. So Lagos State says no, and you are not interested in doing business in Lagos. One thing I have seen in Lagos is the power of the National Union of Road Transport Workers. Have you been able to sit down and look at the possibilities of a partnership? Because one of this a major force of that union is the boss aspect of it. So I understand when people will fight back, and everybody wants to fight back in terms of keeping their market. What kind of, do you see any kind of partnerships towards creating, like I said earlier, the kind of systems whereby there are specific spaces where you can run and how you can run, and that way I think that it might be possible for you to have a shared market with the bosses.
So no jabs intended, but those who signed contracts with Oluomo, where are they today? Like that's all I'm going to say. Like there was a whole contract signing, there was a whole photo op on like partnerships. Today the ban is still existed. So like, yeah, the mind of the state is made up, and you can't really force people to do things that they don't want to do. Like I've had situations, people were saying, you know, oh, the motorcycle industry, the guys didn't lobby. There was no other person who had lobbied like this guy. And when he talks to lobbying, like these guys were hiring directors of government relations. They were like paying people like big bucks to actually do this lobbying. Well, at the end of the day, it still came down to what it is. There is a ban on motorcycles. The ban really affected only the professional sector. Today, you go and you still see the Aboki on the streets with his motorcycles, 100cc, and you still see police passing them too as well. So, like, yeah, it is what it is.
But it is what it is. I mean, if it's the direction that the state wants to take, you can't change that. I mean, you can't argue with that on any.
No, you can't.
Okay. How does one get involved in this platform of yours?
When you say get involved, what do you mean?
I want to benefit from being a part of it. I have money to invest. I want to make some money off you guys. How does one go about it?
So typically we're venture backed as well. So we do have like investment windows where we call for like investors too as well. Once if anybody is like thinking about like investing in SafeBoda, and I mean like investing as a venture business or a venture capitalist too as well, they can email me at babajide@safeboda.com, and so like I can put you through the right channels. But if it is those investments whereby they're like, oh, you know, I have like a 300, 400K type situation, what I would say is, you know, the best thing for you to do is buy a motorcycle, find a rider, agree how much the guy is going to be giving you on returns on a daily basis, and then you do that. The amazing thing about it is like the top earners in SafeBoda, like in Ibadan, on a daily basis make about 7,000 naira a day. And so exactly, like people look down on it and they're like, you know, like this 200 naira, 300 naira, these guys are collecting. But then the guy is collecting 300 naira and doing 30 trips. The guy is collecting 200 and doing between 20 to 25 trips too as well. The average earning per rider is around 3,000 plus too as well. And so imagine how much their take on a weekly basis would look like. So if you're able to like agree some type of like model around whether it is the hire purchase model where the driver like pays you a certain amount of money till he fully owns the bike, which is something that is very, very common and popular too as well. Or you do it as a rent as a service type situation whereby the driver just rents the bike and then pays you like a rental fee too as well. So those are like the kind of like ways micro investors can get in on the platform.
But you know, when we talk about Okadas, we know how reckless Okada riders can be, and we know how the accidents are sometimes. So with your fleet, how have you been able to manage that regarding?
So
yeah, go on.
Yeah, it's training, and more training too as well. So taking someone from something that they're used to. Last week Monday we completed over 1 million rides since we launched operations too as well. And in that period, we've only had 14 accidents. in the entirety of that 1 million ride. Part of the things that we provide for the drivers are insurance services. So like insurance, the like accident cover insurance, life cover insurance too as well. And so these things are there to protect the guys, because one thing we think about is that like the riders are reckless, but we've forgotten that there are other reckless road users too as well, whereby like if you've ever been to Ibadan and you've ever entered a micro before, you understand when I talk about recklessness too as well. So there are other reckless users too on the road. And so this puts the drivers too at risk. So you can give the driver defensive driving training. You can train him on how to like not ride on coverts, how to stop on traffic lights and things like that. But then there are still some other like reckless road users, even private car owners too as well. Like Nigeria is known for its recklessness.
You teach them gliding.
Yeah. So these things do happen. But like one thing that like has really helped us is like ensuring that the drivers are well trained. So like we do like mock training, we do like riding tests for the drivers too as well. And we're constantly like engaging them and doing refresher courses like on a quarterly basis, get the guys back into the training halls to train them on like how to ride safely too as well. We have this motto and slogan that they are old drivers, they are drunk drivers, but they are no old drunk drivers, which is like don't drink and drive basically too as well. And so those kind of things really like embedded into the driver's psyche, which makes them like really like safe. And then when you provide them with like all the safety equipment, so like we use reflector jackets because in the night then they glow, so people are able to see the rider from like far off too as well. The rider has like a DOT certified helmet, which is one of the highest grades. Like we import our helmets from like China, which is one of the highest grades of helmets you can really like find too as well. And that protects them. We find out that like 70% of the accidents that happen when the driver wears a helmet, you have a lesser amount of like fatalities in those type of accidents.
All right. So what are your future plans now?
So future plans is to deepen our experience. Like I said, we're an on-demand services. Currently, right now, we offer rides, deliveries, and airtime on the platform. We're looking to like expand the service offerings into the platform. And then in future, we're thinking about like what other states will be willing to have us apart from Lagos.
Okay, if I like, as usual, time is never a friend.
Yeah.
And you just told us about your future plan. But one quick thing comes to mind. And for me, you spoke about insurance and you spoke about the things, the security things that and safety things you put together for the Okada. How do you help them plan for the future? That's one. And then the final one will be, tell us what your daily catchphrase is that gets you up in the morning and gets you going every day.
All right. So how we help them plan is because we have a wallet service, we're able to like help them build them safe too as well. We have like credit partners who are there to give them productivity loans. So like the motorcycle has like an issue, all of a sudden you're able to get a loan for you to be able to fix the motorcycle. So there's a spare part loan. We work with a company called Imali Pay to do that too as well. For like our insurance, we use Allianz. And I'm not putting these businesses on, but they've been great partners too as well. On other insurance services, we use like Paddy Cover too as well. And so building an ecosystem around these drivers to improve the quality of life for the driver. So for us, it's like a quality of life management play. So the driver needs to buy airtime for his phone. He doesn't need to go to like the recharge person. He buys it straight out of his wallet. The driver needs to save. He saves straight out of his wallet too as well. The driver needs to access loans. He can access loans through one of our partners too as well. There's insurance cover. And so this helps the driver in like planning, so that in case of like unexpected realities, they know that like SafeBoda is there. And one of our partners is there to like bail them out too as well. And for like the catch phase, I think for me, it's all around like, how do I help African businesses scale? Like I've always said it, I never really want to own my own business. I just want to help like people who are building amazing businesses to scale. So like, yeah, that's what gets me up in the morning.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. That's all we can take this morning on Business Half Hour here on Classic FM 97.3. We just spoke with Babajide Duroshola, who's the country head for SafeBoda. Thank you so much, Babajide.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone. It's been great being on the show again.
All right, don't forget, Business Half Hour comes your way at 8 o'clock every Monday morning here on TCMS at Classic FM 97.3, and it is brought to you by UNT Bank.